What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of BookMarked. I'm your hostess, Sherry's Joy. I am an avid reader. I absolutely love reading, and I love bringing you great content and awesome explanations and my thoughts and feelings on the books that I read. So this week I read The Search by Nora Roberts. Honestly, it took me more than a week to read it, but it's okay. I was on vacation. So I am back from vacation. Or I'm back from vacation. Anyway, okay, let's get to it. So The Search by Nora Roberts, 497 pages. This book was written in 2011, and I don't know how I came across this book, honestly. It just was recommended to me, and it sounded like something that was up my alley, so I was like, why not? So I read it. This is actually the first book from this author. I had never heard of this author, and I gotta say that I do like her reading. This particular book in general, because I haven't read anything else by her, was long, and it felt very long. So what is this book about? We have our main character, Fiona. Oh, actually, before I start that, we are on the West Coast. We are in the state of Washington. So we have Fiona. She is a young lady who runs her own search and rescue, her own canine search and rescue unit. She trains the dogs to be on the search and rescue team. And when we first, start the story, we are on a search and rescue. We're looking for a little boy who went missing from their home. Their parents are like, being parents at night, having nighttime activity, and they go downstairs to get a refreshment, and they notice that the kitchen door is open, and there's like woods and stuff in the back of their house. So they call 911, and that's when we meet Fiona and her canine, and they go on the search and rescue, and they find the little boy, and all is right with the rain there. That's kind of like it for that particular story. It was like a good, well, not story, but that particular plot. It was like a good introduction into how we meet Fiona, or into meeting Fiona and who she is and why she's relevant in this story. She's the main character. Then, from there we meet Simon, who has brought his dog to Fiona, a puppy, because his mother bought him a puppy. He's like, a bachelor in this rural woodsy town, and his mother wanted him to have like a companion. So she got him a puppy, and the puppy like eats everything and all that. So he named the puppy Jaws. So he takes him to Fiona so that Fiona can train this dog, and they become friends. Simon is a carpenter. He builds things. He likes to build like shelves. He builds a sink. He finds like natural wood out in the woods and stuff. And he's very talented in carpentry. And he's got kind of like a chip on his shoulder. He's kind of got like this attitude. But for some reason, it works with him and Fiona. They just kind of hit it off, and they actually become an item. Now we have Sylvia, who runs the local, I guess you could call it a bed and breakfast, or like housing or something like that, where I don't know, it's like an extended stay bed and breakfast type thing. And Sylvia is actually Fiona's stepmother. Fiona's dad has passed on, and Sylvia and Fiona are very, very close. And they are considered friends. They have a friendship, a bond. And then we have Mai, M-A-I. I was pronouncing it May, but it's Mai. And she is another close friend in the town. And Mai is actually she's the veterinarian, and she assists Fiona with the canine training. So that all of that, they kind of work together. So what is the actual story? We don't really get into that until like 50% in the book, man. I'm like really telling you, this book was long. So the actual story is about, I think it was like maybe 10 plus years ago, Fiona was abducted by a serial person who offs people on purpose. And that person's name is George Perry. And Fiona was the one who got away and was able to identify, she was locked into the car, in the trunk of the car, bound and tied. She made her way out of that somehow. And, she kicked George Perry's butt and she escaped and, and called the cops and FBI and came out and all of that because he's a serial person. And they had been looking for him because there were like 20 plus girls before Fiona. She was the one that got away and she was the one who got him put away. So 10 plus years later, she moved to like a secluded area to kind of like get herself away from that and just kind of, start a new life, if you will. So that's when she decided to train dogs and do all that because she wanted to give back. She wanted to do something to stop crime and to help people who have gone missing. So George Perry has a copycat. And the copycat is doing exactly what George Perry did. Why? Because George Perry is directing him what to do. They actually met in prison and they, how do you say? They took a liking to one another. I don't know. And so George wanted like an understudy. So he taught this person what to do and every step to do so that this person could finish the job that George Perry couldn't finish, and that is to finally Fiona. So we go through so much of this book in order to get to that particular plot and then to get to the ending. It's like insane. Then when I say this book was long, it was very long. There was just some unnecessary plots. Like we go on another search and rescue mission and it's like 2 or 3 chapters of this search and rescue. And it's just like, we don't really need to be there from beginning to end. Not to mention at the beginning of the book, maybe like 10% in, Fiona and her friends, they discuss going on a girls' weekend retreat that's supposed to be next weekend. But they finally go 65% into the book. And that's like next weekend. And I'm like, are you kidding? I feel like it's been like 2 months already. So that's just kind of gives you an an idea of how long it is. The book does have an ending. All books have an ending. But it was like a satisfying ending. However, I don't know how satisfying it was, right? Because when they catch the bad person, I had to like go back and be like, wait, what just happened? It happened so fast. Like we have this whole buildup, this long book, this whole buildup, this story, and then boom, it like happens. And it's like, what? Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's like it. And that's just how I felt about that. I don't know. So no, Fiona is not a damsel in distress. She can definitely handle her own. She's fit. She doesn't look like she's as strong as she is. And Simon is like rather impressed at how strong she is. Like she's carrying 2 sacks of like peat moss or whatever. She just hauls them out of the truck and puts them over her shoulder and goes. But she's been training herself, preparing herself for any situation because she refuses to be a victim again. So she actually, she kicks butt and she's great. So I guess that could be why her and Simon have this like, I don't know, this like weird relationship. Like he's mean, she's sarcastic, and they laugh. It's just like, okay. So it's like, to give you some perspective here on that, I mean, just a little bit further. This didn't happen, but it kind of happened. This happens, but this isn't like exactly. So it's like, okay, so Fiona's like, ha 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 ha, and Simon's like, and then they go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and you're ugly, well, you're a bee, and you're horrible, and you're a jerk, and all of this stuff. You're so hot. And then they kiss and then they go at it. And it's like, I love you. And I'm like, what? What? This guy is a complete jerk, but okay. They make it work. So the other thing that I would say that I was like, when you read a book and you meet characters, if you don't have a description of the character, you kind of get your own like vibe of that character. So I'm reading this book and, you know, we're talking about Fiona. Okay, we know that she's fit because she works, you know, she it mentions it that she's, you know, she has a small figure or whatever. But that's kind of like it, right? So more than halfway or halfway through the book, I'm like, wait, she's a redhead? Like they talk about her having red hair, and I'm like, what? Hold on. Now I am like, now I have to like picture her all over again. So it's like, well, if you're going to describe, and what I prefer when I read, if you're going to describe a particular character, I would like for that to happen, you know, towards the beginning of the book versus midway through, where now I have to like vision this whole other character, like this whole other person with like red hair. Cause I don't know, I just visioned her with like brown hair. And, you know, I thought that she was tall and slim with like brown hair, but she's not. So it's like, okay. So that's like a gripe that I have about that, but still, it's not that big of a deal. I actually ended up rating this book a 4. And that's just because of the drawn out plot and the unnecessary things that were happening that didn't really need to happen. And then also the I caught you factor. Because it was, I had to, like I said, I had to go back and be like, what? And actually, when I was about 65% in, I started listening to the audiobook of it just to push it along because it had already been a week and a half. I was on vacation, but it had already been a week and a half of me reading this book, and that is the longest that I have read an actual book that's nonfiction. The other book that I've read is just, it's fine, but yeah. The other book that I read that took me a month to read, it's because it was wait, did I say nonfiction? And that is the longest that I have read an actual book that's nonfiction. Nonfiction. So this is the longest book that I've read that has been fiction. And the longest book that I've read that was not fiction took me a month to read it, but that's only because I had to research and Google and research and Google and read and look up stuff and look up, right? Because I needed my references. This is an actual fiction book, and it took me almost 2 weeks to read it, and that's long for me. So I gave it a 4, and I'm not saying it was a bad book. It was actually a really good book. It was vivid. I was in the pages. I could see what I thought was the character. Even the other characters, I saw them. They are not described, but I saw them. I was right there with them. There were some action scenes. I was right there. There were some intense scenes where we go into like the prison, and, you know, I'm like, I can see everything. I can feel the dialogue and the chills going through me. So I was very entertained by the book. I just was a little perturbed because it had a lot of unnecessary things in it, and it just took forever to get through. And that is not the author's fault by any means necessary. Nora Roberts, I would definitely read another book of hers, or give another book a try. And, you know, there you have it. Other than that, I would have rated it more, but because of those things, and I have a criteria, I did give it a 4, and I feel like that was fair. So, you know, please check out the book if you want to. I would recommend the audio. Audio was pretty good. And if you're going to check out the audio, I would just do the audio. I would not read the book and then do the audio. I would do one or the other, because it's just, I wasn't entertained. I was entertained, but I had to like entertain myself again because I started so far in the book. But I do recommend it. It's a good thriller. It's a good suspense. It's a good page turner, just long, and it feels long. That's all. So I appreciate you listening to me talk about The Search by Nora Roberts. I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate all of your likes and your comments. Please keep them coming. If you know anybody that could benefit from this video or any of my videos, please share the link. Share the link anyway. I truly appreciate that. And I am Sherry's Joy. I am an avid reader. I love talking about the books that I read, and I hope you enjoy my videos and my thoughts on all of my books, especially this one that I am talking about, The Search by Nora Roberts. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can catch me on all the socials. I am on Instagram, Blue Sky, right here on YouTube, BookMarkedSJ, and I am one half of the DigiKast. We do Vacation on a Budget, and we got some really cool things coming up for you. And you can find the DigiKast on Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, and also right here on YouTube at the DigiKast. So thank you all for watching again. I truly appreciate all of your support. Love the world.